نارملی میں کسی میڈیا کا جرنلسٹ نہیں ہوں، میں سینما سے تعلق رکھتا ہوں، تو اسی لیے ہم سوشل میں بہت کام کرتے ہیں، اور الحمدللہ یہ جو روابط ابھی تک اب خراب ہو چکا ہے پالیٹکس سے، سوشل پہ کوئی اثر نہیں ڈالا ہے، ابھی بھی ہم ادھر آ سکتے ادھر لوگ کام کرتے پاکستان سے. بٹ میرے شخصی ایک ہی سوال ہے، جو جب سے میں پیدا ہوا ہوں ہر بار مجھے یہ کہا گیا ہے کہ پاکستان کے پاس ایک پریشانی ہے افغانستان سے. پھر میں یونیورسٹی گیا، ادھر میرے کو بولا گیا کہ یہ پریشانی داؤد خان کے زمانے سے شروع ہوا ہے. میں یہ جاننا چاہتا ہوں کہ یہ کون سا پریشانی ہے جب اتنی سال ختم نہیں ہو رہا ہے. تھینک یو.
دیکھیں، جو ملکوں کے اندر ریلیشن شپ ہوتی ہے نا، وہ کبھی بھی ایک جگہ پہ جا کے نہیں اڑ جاتی، وہ چینجبل ہے، ڈائنامک چیز ہے. ایک ایسی ہے کہ کئی دفعہ شخصیت دو آ جاتی ہے ملک میں، ریلیشن شپ بہتر ہو جاتی ہے، اور ایک شخصیت کبھی ایسے ہیڈز آف اسٹیٹ آتے ہیں کہ ان کی ریلیشن شپ خراب ہو جاتی ہے. کئی دفعہ انٹرسٹ بدل جاتے ہیں، ایک ملک کا ایک دم انٹرسٹ بدل جاتا ہے. لیکن جو بیسک چیز افغانستان اور پاکستان میں ہے وہ کہ دیکھیں، ایک تاریخ ہے، کئی 100 سال کی تاریخ ہے، جو یہ سارے خطے میں انٹریکشن تھا. یہ جو پشاور تھا یہ سینٹر تھا، کابل سینٹر ہوتا تھا، سارے سلک روٹ تھی، یہ یہاں سے سارا جاتا تھا ہندوستان، ادھر سے آتے تھے، پھر کندہار سے روٹ تھی ملتان کے ذریعے. یہ پرانی ٹریڈ روٹس ہیں اور پرانی ریلیشن شپس ہیں. کتنی افغان فیملیز وہاں سے آئیں، پاکستان سیٹل ہو گئی. میری ساری ماں اور باپ کی قبیلے سارے افغانستان سے آئے تھے، یہاں سارے ہندوستان میں سیٹل ہو گئے کتنے 100 سال پہلے. تو یہ انٹریکشن ہمیشہ رہا ہے. اس میں کبھی کبھی برا وقت آتا ہے. افغانستان کا انٹرسٹ ہو گیا سوویٹ سے، پاکستان کا انٹرسٹ چلا گیا امریکہ کے ساتھ، اس کے اندر ہماری ریلیشن شپ خراب ہو گئی. پھر آئی حکومت افغانستان کا ہندوستان کے ساتھ قریبی ہو گیا، تو ظاہر ہے پاکستان سے خراب ہونی تھی ریلیشن شپ. لیکن لانگ ٹرم ریلیشن شپ، نیچرل ریلیشن شپ ہے ہی پاکستان اور افغانستان کی.
تا چه حد میان حکومت ملکی پاکستان و حکومت نظامی پاکستان توافق وجود داره؟ به خاطر از اینکه بارها حکومت ملکی پاکستان از افغانستان حمایت خود اعلام کرده و گفته ما همراهشان همکاری میکنیم، ولی در عمل چون این چیز نبوده. امی سوال است. تشکر.
There is a feeling in Afghanistan, and unfortunately this feeling is deliberately being perpetuated by India, that Pakistan is controlled by the military establishment. All the policies, foreign policies that my government has made have been part of a manifesto. They have been part of a manifesto for the past 25 years. Whatever foreign policy I have had has been part of my party's manifesto. So I always believed that there was no military solution in Afghanistan. I always believed that eventually there will have to be a political settlement in Afghanistan. It's exactly what I have been saying for 15 years, what I've been saying since I've been in government for the last 3 years. The Pakistan Army fully supports the government. I always wanted to have peace with India. The Pakistan Army has fully backed all my initiatives towards India for peace. It's India that refuses to have peace, because India today is controlled by the RSS ideology, which is anti-Pakistan and anti-Muslim. And it is shown in what they have done in Kashmir. And if all you have to do is see what happens in India to the Muslims, the cow vigilantes who kill Muslims in the streets never get convicted because they are supposed to have eaten cow. And the suffering which especially Muslims, but also other minorities like Christians, they feel because of this Hindutva, RSS ideology. That is what is coming in the way of us peace with India. So, but the Pakistan Army has stood by my government in every way. There is no difference. So, now we come to Afghanistan. The country, and I repeat, the country that of all the countries in the world wants peace in Afghanistan is Pakistan. Why? Because number one, if there's peace in Afghanistan, then Pakistan is connected right up to the Central Asia. We have already signed a contract, signed an agreement with Uzbekistan for the Mazar Sharif Peshawar Railway through Afghanistan. So all our future economic strategies depend upon peace in Afghanistan. That's number one. Number two, the people of Pakistan always think of people of Afghanistan as probably, if not neighbors, as our brothers. And they have suffered for 40 years of strife. And so we feel that if any country needs peace and quiet, it's Afghanistan. Thirdly, if this civil war goes on between the government and Taliban, it will almost certainly spill over to Pakistan's tribal areas. And we have really, in the last time when we joined the American war on terror, and as a result, we had the American war on terror spilled onto Pakistan's tribal area. 70,000 Pakistanis were killed in that. So last thing we want is that civil war spilling over into Pakistan, which it will do if it is a protracted civil war. And finally, we already have 3 million Afghan refugees. We cannot afford, if there's civil war, there will be more refugees coming in. And Pakistan does not have the economic conditions to have another influx of refugees. So it is in our interest, and that is why Pakistan has tried its best, is trying its best for a political solution in Afghanistan.
Thank you so much for your time. سوال من این هست که میخوایم پرسان بکنم در ارتباط به حملاتی که فعلا طالبان در ولسوالیای افغانستان انجام میتن و کارهایی که اینا انجام میتن وارد خانه های افغان میشن. آیا از نظر شما این گروه کارهایشان چگونه است؟ غیر انسانی هست یا گروه تروریستی هستند طالبان؟ آیا شما میپذیرین؟ و دیگه ای که در این اواخر آیا اجساد پاکستانی را شما کشور پاکستان دریافت کردن از افغانستان تسلیم شده باشند؟ نظرتان در این ارتباط چی هست؟ و با چنین شرایط نتیجه روند صلح در افغانستان شما چگونه میبینین من حیث یک کشور خیلی نزدیک بر افغانستان؟ تشکر.
First, what the Taliban are doing or not doing has nothing to do with us. You have to speak to Taliban about what they're doing. We are not responsible. Neither are we some spokespersons for Taliban. But you have two choices. 20 years, a military solution has been attempted to bring peace to Afghanistan, and that's failed. Now you have a choice. Either this American-backed military solution you can continue, because if you feel the Taliban are not someone you want to have in part of your government, you can keep on the course of a military solution. But everyone knows it's not possible anymore. The second solution is to have a government, a political compromise between the Taliban and the government, to have a compromise, an inclusive government. That is the only solution. Now, what the Taliban are doing or not doing has nothing to do with us. All we want is that there should be peace in Afghanistan. Pakistan's interest is peace there. There are 3 million Afghan refugees in Pakistan. Almost all of them are Pashtuns. And all of them, or most of them, would have sympathies with Taliban. How is Pakistan supposed to check who is going over there to fight or not when there are about 25,000-30,000 people who cross every year, every day? They go into Afghanistan and come back. How is Pakistan going to check that? So Pakistan has consistently said that if the Afghan refugees go back to Afghanistan, then hold us responsible. But if there are 3 million refugees here, how can we say few hundred or few people have gone there to fight and their bodies are coming back? How can Pakistan be held responsible? There are refugee camps of 500,000 people. There are refugees with over 100,000 people. So how is Pakistan going to go into the refugee camps and decide who is pro-Taliban and who is not? So it's not possible unless, and let me just say the other thing, that until recently there was no border between Pakistan and Afghanistan. The Durand line was just imaginary. There was no physical border. So to stop, to control the outflow and inflow into Pakistan, we have built this fence at a huge cost to Pakistan. We have completed 90% of the fence now. So which, for the first time you have a border fence. Before that there was no border anywhere. Durand line was no border. So we are trying our best, but it is not possible to hold Pakistan responsible when you have over 3 million refugees here. What interest could possibly Pakistan have in a civil war in Afghanistan? What interest would Pakistan have in backing someone to take over Afghanistan? What is clear is that no one party will be able to take over Afghanistan. So if Taliban try to take over Afghanistan, it will just be an ongoing civil war. In the past, Pakistan did have an interest. In the 90s, Pakistan had an interest. And why did Pakistan have interest? Because Pakistan had this policy of strategic depth. What was strategic depth? Pakistan was always wary of Indian influence in Afghanistan, and Pakistan did not want to have a situation where it was fighting on two fronts. So Eastern Front, India, and then Afghanistan also became pro-India. So in those days, Pakistan did try to have favorites. They backed favorites. Now, and especially my government, we believe that Afghanistan can never be controlled from outside. Afghanistan has a history. Throughout history, Afghans are the most independent people. So you can't control Afghanistan from outside. So our government's policy is, whoever the people of Afghanistan choose, Pakistan will have best relationship with them. So we have no favorites now. We do not have that old policy of the 90s of strategic depth anymore.